G-Sauce, Gavin here. Dracotail is easily my favorite deck to come out in Justice Hunters. What it does is just so much more unique than what the other decks do. And I don't know, there's like infinite ways to play it. There's infinite ways and lines you can go about things, even though it's really weird because this deck has a very small ceiling, right? But you can almost always beat your opponent with it going second. You can always crack any board. You can always just throw up like infinite bodies, even though you're restricted into fusions. And if you're a fan of the channel and you've been keeping up for a while, you know that I love fusions. I loved Branded back in the day, and this just feels like old school Branded to me. So before they got all the locks. So without further ado, let's hop right into the deck profile where I'll explain the ratios and what I've been trying out. We have triple Lucius, triple Phimina, triple Malulu, double Pan, and Urgula. So these are all the names I play. I wish I could play more. I kind of want to play the triple Pan. I really like that. So let's hop into what all the cards do so I can explain this a little better. We have triple Lucius. So what Lucius allows you to do, this is your, basically your Stratos. So as soon as Stratos is summoned, right, you get to search a Dracotail monster from your deck. And this is very versatile because, one, you can just make it a card that pops. You can make it a card that pops spells and traps. You can make it a Omni Negate, or you can just make it a fusion from hand. So it gives you like infinite versatility, right? So this card is very good. And all the Dracotail monsters have a second effect where when they're used as fusion material and they're sent to the graveyard, the sent to the graveyard is very important. You get to set a Dracotail spell or trap from your deck. So every single one of them has like multi-engine purposes. And saying that, we have Phimina. So Phimina allows you to fuse with monsters from your hand or field, right? And that's really about it. Having this card in rotation is very good because it allows you to do some cool Golem plays and also allows you to always Arthalion on the opponent's turn. This allows you to turn 0 fusion summon, which is also very good. And then we have the dragons. So Urgula allows you to put itself on the bottom of the deck when it's in the graveyard to grab back a spellcaster from your graveyard back to your hand. So this card allows you to always have Phimina in rotation. Also, when it's used as fusion material, the dragons have bonus effects where they let you pop cards or negate cards on resolution. They don't target, which is very important. So when they're used, they set and then can't pop. So going second this deck is always just infinitely better than going first. Double Pan. Pan doesn't have a really good graveyard effect. Whenever a monster in your side of the field leaves because of an opponent's card effect, I specifically think, let's read this together. It's destroyed by an opponent's card effect, right? So that doesn't come up very much. But let's say they're playing the breaker version of Yummy, or they're popping your stuff with a Croaky and they're not very familiar with the matchup. This does come up, right? It allows you to special summon a non-fusion Dracotail monster from your graveyard, which gets you back into Lucius, gets you into Malulu, which Malulu is just a Cartasia. But Pan, when it's sent to the graveyard, pops a monster on the field. And Malulu allows you to negate when it's used as fusion material. And this is just Cartasia, but it locks you into Dracotails. Well, you can only make Dracotails and it locks you into fusions for the rest of the turn. Hopefully that's a good explanation. If you guys have any questions on anything, please let me know in the comment section down below. And that's all the monsters you play. Half of them are bricks, obviously. Like, you don't want to draw the Pan on Urgula. And you have a lot of normal summons, right, with the triple Lucius and triple Malulu. But what they do are very, very good. Because you want to cut down on normal summons, though, we are playing Dark End Evaporation Dragon. So this card's nuts. This basically does what Cartasia does, but it locks you into dragons when it's special summoned, which is completely fine, because you can just keep playing with dragons when this card's on the field. It's a pretty good poly. It's not a quick effect, though. And let's see. You can also target one other attack position monster on the field, make this card lose exactly 500 attack or defense, and if you destroy that monster. So, yeah, this is basically the old prize card. Very, very good card. Gives you more spheres plays. It's an extender. Just better than Cartasia because you can special summon it. That's about it. This deck has a normal summon problem, and this solves it. The lock-in dragon might suck a little bit, but I think that's fine. We're not playing the light dragon. The light dragon is just a little bit worse. But we are playing Triple King of the Swamp. Now, a lot of people play this card because of... actually, you know what? Let's grab the brick, too. One poly. So a lot of people play this card because they're playing win more cards like Dragoon, or they're playing win more cards like Tyrant Dragon. I was playing those cards for a while, but I noticed that they didn't really come up. You can play them, but I'm making my extra deck a little bit more versatile. So this is basically from Guardian Chimera. Guardian Chimera in this deck is broken. It also just gives you an extra push with Poly, which in certain matchups when you're going second just feels so free. Being able to infinitely fusion someone just gives you game in a lot of different ways. So yeah, probably cut this in the future, but it's been really good in testing. You just want to be able to play some win more cards, because that's the issue with this deck compared to the other ones. This deck just plays a little too close to the ground, and sometimes the safe plays that you make in other decks, this deck will make and you'll still lose. So you always want to be able to make a bigger push. Now we're playing infinite hand traps because you can fuse off with all of these. Triple Fubulos, triple Ash, triple Veiler, triple Nib. This one's important. So the reason why we're playing Nib is because it's a body in hand and on the field. So even if they like negate it, you can still fuse off with it, which is very, very nice. It says just the Ripper is basically muted. You want to be able to always beat Ripper in this deck. I'm a big fan of this. Where's the triple Fubulos in case you guys are watching without sound? So yeah. Also Veiler, a lot of people have been talking about how Veiler's not too good. Can't target anything that is made with Lupus. But the crazy thing is that Vanquish Roll isn't maxing out on the bounce backs. So you can just Veiler their you can Veiler the Rosin and you're all fine. So yeah, these are all good. And you can bounce it back because it's not once per turn. And a cool idea is 1 Gamma, 1 Driver. I got this idea from my buddy Alex. Shout out to him. What this card does is that Gamma's like the best hand trap in the game. If you open it, you can just pop something, right? Like, not once per turn. Better Veiler, basically, can negate any monster effect. But the issue is that it has a brick with Driver. But this deck doesn't care because you can always use it as fusion material. So if you're going like first, right? Okay, you just fuse off with it. You activate Rahu, and they Ash it, you just Gamma it, and then it's on the field. And now later in your turn, you can use it as fusion material. And you can always bounce it back from your graveyard with Arthalion, so if they out your board, Gamma's always back live. It's fantastic. It's been really good. Brilliant idea. If you don't want to play this, these can just be main deck bells, main deck ogres, but it's fine. Was pretty good in testing all day. Now on to the spells. Triple K2, triple Rahu, double Horn. These cards are kind of catch-22s, right? Because it's really good to open this, but you don't want to see multiples of it, especially since you can set them through Engine. So there's a lot of cool plays you can do where you can use the ones that you set, and then to hit those, and then you just have one in hand for next turn and stuff like that. They also can, they're activate once per turn, so if they happen to have any cards that negate activation, you can use them again. They're all ashable though, and that's an issue with Horn and Flame. Since Flame and Horn can always be hit by Ash, Bell, or Purge, I have not had these cards resolve at all, which kind of sucks, right? That like, these cards are just Ash or Bellable, but them being able to infinitely recycle your stuff's really good. But I will say, do not put your game plan on these resolving. They never do. That's the main deck. Now let's hop into the extra deck so we can go on to what I was talking about with the versatility. Triple Arthalion. This card's crazy. If you activate like Perulia or Fulos on your opponent's turn, they happen to play into it and you have Fimina, you can just make a big-ass Arthalion and just bounce everything. This card is crazy. I kind of wish this card did more, but like what it does is already enough. This is one of my favorite boss monsters to come out in a minute. And 1 Gargamel. Gargamel is fine. You don't need multiples of him, but the fact that you can just keep popping stuff, it's just under Dragon Titan. Very, very good card. I don't think you need more, but hey, card's fantastic. You still want to play it in your engine. 1 Chaos. You'd think this card would be broken. It's fine. You're basically just using this so that you can banish it off of the dragon in the main deck to summon itself. So for that, this card's all right. 1 Mysterion Dragon. This card is pretty good against cards like Holy Sue or cards that special summon themselves, right? So for that instance, this card's all right. You don't make it a lot. Half the time it's just a beat stick. And then this is Secretarian Dragon. My buddy's borrowing mine at the time. But this card is also fantastic. This allows you to give pushes that you never really had and is a floodgate into the mirror. Wonderfilia Regis. This card is just a Dragon Maid on crack. Gives you interactions that you wouldn't have otherwise. Doesn't come up too much, but when you summon it, you win the game. And one Guardian Chimera. This comes up with Poly. You can only really make it with Poly. If your opponent tries to make it with K2, stop them. I've had this come up so many times. But when it comes up, you win the game on the spot. This is all the fusions, which seems weird for a fusion deck, but you'll see here soon. SP Little Knight, you can just make this with like the fusion monsters, put them back in a graveyard, banish stuff. Really good utility. Cross Sheep, also really good utility. Being able to do combos with like your fusion monsters, make this, bring back your guy from the graveyard, special out another guy. Gives you lines that you wouldn't have otherwise. One Spirit with Eyes of Blue. This allows you to turn Lucius into this, so you can make spheres, which is really good because you can bring out Malulu. And because we're siding a certain engine, we're playing one Ripper and one Sky Blaster. I wish I had room for Typhon. Typhon is also very broken in this deck because of how many hand traps we play, but turns off your Arthalion, and Valon and Ripper are just pretty good. I wish I had room for Nash Knight, but I wanted to have more versatility in my engine, and these two were fine. You also like only really side these in for like matchups where they matter. So like these are usually only for Crystron K9 and for just basically K9 mirrors because this deck has a very bad K9 matchup. Now onto the side. Surprise, triple Azuna, one Lupus. These being able to use as fusion material is very, very good. You don't want to main deck them because basically Yummy's everywhere. And Yummy isn't always going to be guaranteed to like hand trap you on your turn. And just because like it's not always like the best into that package, like whenever I play K9 decks, I usually side these out anyway. So you don't want them in for that matchup, but for everything else, it's fine. It just so happens that the most popular matchup is Yummy. So it is what it is. This could change later where these are in the main deck, but for now, in the side, it was fine. Triple Fenrir. This is one of the reasons why I didn't play this deck in the big tournament this weekend for the World Celebration, because this card's banned in the OCG. So this card is crazy because it puts more cards into your hand that you can play with, especially when you're playing a fusion deck. It's really good. It's really good into Yummy. It's a very good anti-Yummy card. And other than that, not much to say. This card's just broken into most things you sided into. Double Delta. This is because we're playing the driver in the deck, so you can just side these in. Of course, you can fuse with them as well. Pretty good into the mirror. Pretty good into Yummy as well, because you can just hit Obedience School. You can hit anything else. It does negate activation, though. So if they place the field spell and use the effect, I don't believe you can Delta it. If I'm lying to you, just let me know in the comment section down below. But this card in theory is really good. Didn't really come up at all today. Triple Perulia, as I said in my last deck profile, but if you didn't watch it, I'll explain it here. Perulia is not the best into Yummy. And if Yummy is the most popular deck right now, there's no reason to be main decking this card, or else you're just using it for Upstart or a misnomer, right? So what you can do is you just side this in for everything else. And that's really good. You could main deck it. I remember Jesse Cotton was playing it because he's like, oh, I don't care, I'll fuse off with it, but I wanted to play some other cards instead. And Indecide was fine. Double Bell. Bell is pretty good in the Yummy. Of course, like as you're seeing in my side, I have a lot of Yummy hate, which is weird because this deck has a good Yummy matchup. But half the time, like if Yummy just ends on Herald, you die, right? Because you can't fuse off with your guys. Like if you fuse off with them, they're going to banish, they don't float. So because of that, you want to be able to stop them or just crack their board. And this is one of the best ways to stop them from ending on the board. One Skill Drain. So Skill Drain is because your monsters are really, really big. And if you're playing against Vanquishable K9, they have to search the really big guy, where you just get into the really big guy. So if you go first against them and set Skill Drain, they're not getting to Caesar when you have Arthalion on board with Skill Drain. So card's nuts. Card is really, really good. This is also really good in the Yummy. So for some theory, Yummy will do this thing where your cards in your deck don't do much into the Yummy board. And for Yummy, it's the exact same thing. Their end board doesn't do much into you because your bodies are too big and all your guys non-target pop. So they can't really do what they want to do correctly. So they will make you go first so that you can set everything up. And then they just crack the board because they can't go first. I know what I'm saying might seem like a lot, but just know that your engines don't play into each other the best. So because of that, they'll force you to go first and you force them to go first so that you can resolve cards like K2 and kill them. Post side, you can do something really funny where you can side this in and choose to go first. So if you see this card, you instantly win the game. Is that correct with how the rest of this is made? I don't know, but this card is really, really good. So you can just side it in regardless, and if they make you go first, you just go cool, flip up skill drain, and you win the set. And yeah, that was the deck profile. This deck has been really fun to play. It just feels like there's infinite cool things you can do with the deck. And there's always more testing. Like every time I play this deck, I'm like, wow, I made a little mistake. I can play this better. And the amount of tech skill it takes to play this deck perfectly is very, very hard. So you have to put a lot of time into it. But I am really enjoying the deck. Yeah, any comments, questions, concerns, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear and talk more theory on Dracotail. And yeah, till the next video, catch you guys later.